So, good morning, first of all. Good morning. Um, if you're able to see this, you're blessed. Welcome. So, again, it's Sunday, November the 4th, 2018. My name is Wes Jones. I am representing Citizens United today. And this is the last Sunday before the most important election of our entire life. And I'm happy to be here and happy to be mentally awake and happy to report to you today. So basically today, being that this is the last time that we can complain or, whatever it is that we're dealing with right now, before Tuesday's big, huge, worldwide, the most important election in the entire world, in the history of the world. If we don't get it right this time, we are in deep, deep doo-doo. So anyway, I want to first just kind of go off the rails a little bit because I got some stuff. I always have things that I want to talk about, right? I got it. I'm learning how to do this, right? This is episode number 43, if I'm not mistaken. 43 times I've sat in front of this camera and I've shared information that is very, very relevant. And, I was pretty much on point, in my views and my opinions and everything I've said. I wish somebody would have listened because I could have told you months ago exactly what we're seeing today. But anyway, let me go a little bit off the rails and just let's talk about God, right? So I talked, a year ago, 2 years ago. God was pissed. God was very disappointed in this country, as he should be. And 2 years ago, God was so furious that I think he was getting ready to wipe the state of Florida, Georgia, and, around the panhandle. I think it was getting ready to be really, 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 really bad, right? So I happened to be in that part of the country. And, I prayed and I prayed because I seen it coming. I prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed. And what I got back was God was like, okay, I'm just going to explain it in my Ebonics way. God pretty much 2 years ago was like, okay, I hear you. And because all it takes is one. And it was like, okay, I hear you. I'll fall back. But if y'all don't get it together, instead of 3 states, it's going to be 11. I was like, cool, and that was 2 years ago. So we didn't get it right. We fucked up. And he came back and tapped 11 states. Bad. I'm talking about underwater, fire. You look out west, they have fires, the size of entire cities. Wildfires just blowing, big as entire cities, wiping out thousands of acres of land, thousands. Floods. You look at Texas, a few other states, literally underwater. Winds, high winds. You look at the devastation through, Puerto Rico and various parts of the country. It's been devastating, and he ain't playing. Okay, so one of the things that I threw out there this week was I said, hey, if God wiped the United States off of the face of the earth, would his rainbow promise to not destroy the world still be intact? And I want you motherfuckers to realize that yes, if God wiped the United States off the face of the earth today, that the promise that he made, that every time we see a rainbow that we're reminded of, would absolutely still be intact. And quite frankly, he would be within his rights to wipe this country off the face of the earth simply because of the negative, horrific impact that it has on the entire world. You know, when you look at the medical world, you know, like somebody comes up and is diagnosed with cancer or something, they go in and they cut that cancer out, you know, or they irradiate that cancer until it, you know. What if God looked at the world like that, you know? We are the cancer. The United States is the cancer. The United States is the problem, you know. So we just have to continue to hope that there's enough good people, good Christian people like myself, that God listens to postpone that inevitability until we can get this right. So we got a chance November the 6th to get this right. And so, yeah, I just wanted to kind of go off the rails a little bit before I get down into it. What else can I say that's outside the box? The youth, our youth. We have a population of young men and women between 18 and 30 that's probably the biggest that it's ever been. I mean, there's a lot, they call them millennials, and, you know, there's a lot of them. I'm very proud of our young people in certain ways, and I'm very disappointed in some ways. But the disappointment I really can't pin on them because we failed them as you know, our generation. We failed them miserably. As you look around your community and the condition of our young people, whose fault is it? Is it their fault? Yeah, you have to take personal responsibilities of your daily choices, but did we set the right examples? You know, did we do a good job of showing by demonstrating, you know, by what we do? No, we failed. You know, I look at the city that I'm in as I'm sitting here, and you know, I look at how we poison ourselves, you know, with this whole drug game, you know, and we're a bad influence on ourselves with this whole drug game, and the condition that this drug game has our young ladies in is terrible, you know. This drug game has no respect for our women, you know, whether it's family, or friend or foe. When you look at the condition of our young men, as it refers to this drug game, you know, we failed. We failed. I mean, they're, you know, you look at the prisons and yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to go on about that, but, you know, I'm just trying to give you something to think about before I get down to the nitty gritty. All right, so, last thing outside the box I'm going to talk about is myself, right? Okay, so over the last 20 years, I've lived in the suburbs, right? Beautiful, right? And I can go back. If I wanted to right now, I can move to the suburbs. But I made a personal choice to come back to the hood. Woo! Not because I have to be. I mean, I temporarily was in a position where I had to be, you know, as a foundation in order, you know. But I have the ability right now to get back to the suburbs. But there's a fight going on. There's a fight for survival. There's a fight for humanity. There's a fight for my people, my ancestors, my culture. And guess where that motherfucking fight is? It ain't in the suburbs, baby. I'm in the war zone, and I'm here to do work, and I'm happy. I'm happy. And when I'm in front of this camera, when I'm talking about my aspirations and everything that I believe in, I'm happy. I'm happy. It's like a drug. It's better than any drug on the planet because it gives me a sense of purpose. And it gives me a connection to my ancestors, to my community, to my God, and it's amazing. And oh man, I love it, right? So, talking about me, everybody has a tendency to try to decide what your level of success is. You know what I mean? As if they know you, as if they know what you got. I have family, friends, and foes that don't know me. I can honestly say that there's very few people on this planet that actually know me. Why is that? I'll tell you, since I got back in this city, the biggest reason why nobody knows me is they always trying to figure me out. They approach me and they're looking like, you know, what you doing here? What's going on? Where you at? You know, trying to figure me out. Well, guess what? I don't want to be figured out, though. I want to be loved. I want to be understood. I want to be talked to, appreciated, you know, just like everybody else. I don't want to be figured out. So when you come at me with that figure out shit, guess what I give you back? Straight up sarcasm and bullshit. Right? So then people are frustrated because I won't cooperate. Right? And then if I do divulge some information, it's to a select few. Right? I'll divulge some information to my one biological cousin. Because I know then the information that I give him, he's going to take, twist it, and run all around town and just tell everybody all kind of bullshit, right? So I tell him what I want him to know. I mean, this is really, I'm really enjoying this, right? But it's sad because I can honestly say that nobody has taken the time to actually get to know me. You know, they've tried to figure me out, then they get frustrated, and then they want to discriminate against me and say, oh, you know, he's this, he's that. No, you just mad because you can't figure out what the fuck I'm doing. It ain't your motherfucking business. I ain't doing nothing. I ain't doing nothing. But what I'm supposed to do, which is not do narcotics. You know, I am a 420 believer, and I am a 420 supporter, you know, cannabis, marijuana. But my job is to not do any narcotics that will lead to an unhealthy vessel. My job is to not do any narcotics that will erode my state of consciousness and put me in a psychological position to where I can be exploited, you know, by the forces of evil, you know. My job is to appreciate the health and the opportunities to smile and laugh. You know, that's my job. And my job is to consume things that are going to support a healthy, you know, vessel. And I've been doing a really good job at maintaining my health and staying out the way. But I am an individual that is misunderstood and highly discriminated against, but I don't mind because it serves me it lets me know that I'm doing the right things. You know, by not being a felon, by never going to prison, by never having to steal, kill, or destroy my own people, by never having to snitch or negotiate for my freedom by divulging information on people, my friends and family and stuff like that. My word is intact. I've never, ever, 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 and I've been in a couple of positions where they tried to squeeze me, but they ended up having to lock me up because I didn't cooperate because it's not in me, you know what I mean? So I appreciate that as a man. I appreciate having my balls, my word, and then being able to be real 24/7. I appreciate all that. Okay, so now it's time to get down to the funky funk. Okay, so look, Trump, Donald Trump. All right, so this is the intro, episode number 42, 43. Citizens United, Hope for America National Promotion. Citizens United Neighborhood Watch in effect, on the way, baby step. So the intro, we're going to talk about the GOP, the Republican Party, and the impact that it's had on the United States of America and the Constitution and the people of this country, the GOP and their feverish obsession with dismantling America and privatizing everything like an alien invasion, like aliens that attack a planet and they come in and they just suck all the resources out the planet until the planet shrivels up and dies. That's pretty much the Republican Party. Seriously. If you look at anything that we've established in this country, whether it's the United States Postal Service, whether it's the United States public education system, whether it's the United States manufacturing system, the Republican Party and the GOP, just like alien invaders, come for one purpose only: to dismantle and privatize. When you look at the mental health system that America used to have, when I was a kid, back in the 60s, 70s, into the early 80s, the United States had a mental health infrastructure, and it was attacked and destroyed, dismantled, and those funds were reallocated to corporate America. And it was done not by Muslims, it was done not by minorities, it was done not by black people. It was done by bigoted white men in the GOP, the Republican Party. They dismantled our mental health structure. They have dismantled our public education system. As you see, cities around America where they were once beautiful high schools that housed thousands of young men in those particular communities have now turned into abandoned, dilapidated facilities in abandoned, dilapidated neighborhoods. And all of this was made possible by the GOP and their obsession with dismantling America as we know it and privatizing and turning it into pretty much a global opportunity for everyone but Americans. So, now, okay, so we talked about that. So let's talk about women, okay? Women. So we're going to talk about two subjects right here. We're going to talk about the election and women, okay? For 2 years, I've seen very clearly how important this day, this moment in time, in history, in this beautiful world, this moment right now that we're living in is one of the most historical moments that we can ever imagine. Women, just by sheer natural occurrences have become have so there's a fact. Women live longer than men. Women live, anywhere from 1 to 7 to 9 years longer than men. Um, Women are, which means women are a little bit more healthier than men. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that in terms of population, for the first time in the history of the world, there in the United States, there are more women than there are men. What does that mean? That means that when it comes to registered voters, there are more women registered to vote than there are men. What does that mean? That means when it comes to actually voting, there are more women that vote than actually men. What does that mean? That means for people like me and you, that means absolutely nothing. It means that life is what it is. It means that, you just keep living. What does it mean, right? But to bigoted, racist white men in the intelligence community, bigoted, racist white men in the military, bigoted, racist white men in the law enforcement community, bigoted, racist white men in the political realm, bigoted, racist white men in manufacturing, business, bigoted, racist white men in our residential communities are not fucking happy. This data is disturbing to these entities that I mentioned. When it comes to the intelligence community, the military, and law enforcement, these are just straight out white men that have no intention on diversifying anything at any time ever. Their only goal from the 1960s was to get the resources out of the hands of the diverse community and put those resources in the safe, secure structure of white America. From the 60s, they have done nothing but determine the level of poverty in this country by one, being fiscally irresponsible is a beautiful way that they've learned how to defund and destroy entire cities. And two, from a organization in whole, the intelligence community and the military, they decided that rather than see any United States taxpayer dollars going to anything that can benefit anybody that's non-white, they decided to secure those funds and and continue to take those funds out of the system and put them somewhere where they would be beyond touch, where nobody could touch those, nobody could question why they took hundreds of billions of dollars out of the system that we needed for infrastructure and just to preserve and to build this beautiful country that we have. Their job was to take those funds out of our reach and put them beyond our reach, somewhere where we couldn't question it, we couldn't even look at it no more, right? And what they did was they took those funds out of our system because they didn't, as with their racist beliefs, they just couldn't stomach those funds benefiting minorities in this country. So they took every dime that they could get their hands on and they put it into the United States military. Because you're not going to question why it's over there. You're not going to question who put it there. You're not even going to try to get it back. So this year, we put $742 billion, with a B, $billion into the United States military. Now, 742 billion, that's close to a trillion, right? Unheard of. Now, if it were not for the fact that all of their coffers are full, they've taken so much money out of our system and stored it over there where we couldn't get it, where it can't benefit us, that they're full. They literally have no place to put money no more over there. So they created other places to put money, where they can fill up, it's kind of like a stash house, like drug dealers. You have a place to put your money until it's full, and then you got to find another place to put the money, right? So once they filled up those coffers, then they had to find other places to put the money. Department of Homeland. You name it. You can go down the list. They create false entities to put this money. So the Department of Homeland is one that I can think of off the top of my head. When they give multi-billion-dollar no-bid contracts, that's like a stash house. So when you look at Blackwater, during the Bush administration, the no-bid contracts that they gave during the Iraq War, created multi-billion-dollar companies overnight by just saying, hey, take this money. You know what I mean? So, I'm not a professional, so I would like to be able to go down the list, and someday I will be able to, but today, we want to talk about the importance of women, right? So these people are absolutely petrified that for the first time in the history of this country, they're in a position to where they're going to have a woman boss. They're going to have a woman in their business. They've never had that before. They're going to have a woman wanting to know, where's that money going? And that's what got JFK killed, because he didn't want to cooperate with the lie. Because these organizations, they found out in the 60s that we were going. They found out that we will fall for anything they say. So when they said, hey, we walked on the moon, we believed them. It was a lie. The motherfuckers ain't walked on no motherfucking moon. Why you think they ain't ever even attempted to tell that lie again? Why do you think they've never attempted to walk on the moon again? If you did it once, you can do it twice, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. So that little funky ass ship that we believe got up there, right? That little small ass little ship, right? Okay, so how you get home? How did you get home, pimp? You just decided you finna go home and you just hopped in that little funky ass ship and actually made it home. Yeah, nigga. And we believe that shit, right? Billions of dollars empowered them to believe that they could do what they exactly did, which is fucked us out of probably $100 trillion. The United States could be the most beautiful country in the entire world. Literally, streets could be paved in gold-plated bricks. We could have the most advanced fiber optics, electrical grid, water systems. We've had access to hundreds of trillions of dollars. But instead of applying them to the needs and as to what those funds were designed for, instead of applying those to the country, to the people, to the development of the most beautiful country in the entire universe, we've been tricked every single year to not invest in ourselves or our children or our future, but to just give those funds in the form of tax breaks to corporate America. No, don't spend it on yourself. Just give it to us. We know what to do with it, right? So that makes us hoes, as in the pimp hoe game. Like it takes a hoe to build a pimp, right? So if we giving all our money to the pimps, we hoes, right? So as hoes, they've convinced us, like every pimp convinces every hoe, bitch, you do without so that I can do with half. I will have and you will have not. I will give you just enough. That's the pimp game, right? So That's what's up. All right. It is. That's exactly what's up. You know. So I understand that. Dig, right? So let's go on down this list. So, all right. Trump. Let's get the current events right to where we are today. Donald Trump, as a form of distraction, thought it would be a good idea to order the assassination of an American journalist at a news network that he can't stand. He hates the Washington Post. It's well documented. This man ordered the murder of Mr. Khashoggi, and to negotiate that murder, he sent Mr. Kushner over to meet with the Saudis. And after Mr. Kushner left, 24 hours later, they proceeded to kidnap, murder, and behead and dismember a Washington Post journalist named Mr. Khashoggi. God bless you. Lord, have mercy on his soul. May he rest in heaven with the angels of his peace. Anyway, Donald Trump, you are Satan. You are a spawn of Satan, and your day is coming. You have given your family a generational curse that will live way beyond your old ass, and God bless everything that happens to you, sir. But anyway, Mr. Kushner and Mr. Trump ordered that assassination, and it was carried out, and it backfired in their face. From the moment that man was murdered, the spokesman on behalf of the murderers and the man that was actually lying and trying to take full control of that murder was the president of the United States. And it's a global shame. Every country in the universe is looking at this man and they're saying, oh my God. And everybody in the United States is looking at this man saying, oh my God. So again, Mr. Trump, Mr. Kushner, and the GOP ain't shit. So, Trump said that the news and the reporters are the enemy of the people. Trump said that the news media is the enemy of the people. As Democrats, I would beg you to ask him, every time he says that in public, to name one example. One. I guarantee you they're going to have to go back and find some. And I guarantee you the examples that they bring forward are going to be examples where they participated in the creation of the false news so that they can then turn around and complain about the false news. First, let me tell you about the president. This man has a history that goes back to the 70s of calling news networks, pretending to be someone else, and injecting false and fake stories to benefit his personal progress. This man has a history of calling news networks, calling reporters, getting in front of the camera, and espousing fake news from his own mouth. This man has told over 6,182 lies. Every time one of those comes out of his mouth, yes, it is fake news because we're covering that lie. We're trying to unwrap that lie. We're trying to understand and report on that lie. So the man that's responsible for fake news then turns around and accuses the news industry of being fake. That's a con man. That's a hustle. That's a scheme. That's 3-car Molly on the corner of the streets of New York. You know what I mean? Put your 20 where the red lady at. Right? Democrats, we would never, ever, ever allow anybody that dysfunctional, politically, morally, that dysfunctional, to rise in the ranks of our politics. It will never happen because we're not complicit, we're not evil, we're not sinister, and we don't think that our constituents are that fucking stupid. You know, I never once ever in my entire life considered running for politics. until this moment right now. And I can tell you one thing. It'll be a beautiful thing. Because I'm going to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. And any motherfucking dime that they want to contribute to our campaign is going to go in full and complete transparency. Full and complete transparency is what's needed in America. We have a military with a budget annually of over $700 billion that cannot pass an audit. We have a military with a budget of over $700 billion, and they have not passed a successful audit, meaning we don't know where that motherfucking money going. $740 billion a year. And we don't have a goddamn clue what they doing with it, where it's going, or who it's benefit. We got to be the dumbest hoes on the strip. Okay. Trump has allowed Turkey, China, Russia, North Korea, you name it. He's allowed all of these countries to collaborate with him to undermine the global structure of diplomacy. We have a Republican Party that's allowed the President of the United States to spit in the eye of our allies, our European allies, educated, wonderful people. The racial tones around those global areas, that's a whole nother conversation. But the diplomacy that was developed in World War II, the structures, the relationships, the countries, and the success that it brought, and the position of the United States within those realms have been undermined by the Republican Party and this Nazi president. Okay, so we're living in a society that makes absolutely no sense. When you look at the mayors and the congressmen and the politicians that have gone to jail or been charged with corruption, convicted of corruption, you see more minorities going to jail. And you don't see very many white men going to jail. For example, the governor of West Virginia, I forget his name, him and his wife were busted dead to right. They should be in jail. If you look at the mayors, the black mayors and the black congressmen that have been jailed, Jesse Jackson Jr. being one, they didn't hesitate to lock these black men up. In some cases for far less than what these white men are doing, So you have to ask yourself, how in the fuck is that, right? So basically what that is political discretion. Our political leaders have the discretion to pick and choose who they decide to implement the law on. That's very racist. So if a white man, like the governor in Virginia and his wife, violate the laws, they have the political discretion to say, he's a good man, we'll just look the other way. And you look the other way too, right? But then you get somebody like a black man, like Jesse Jackson, or even my uncle, the mayor of Reading, Pennsylvania, and so they have the discretion to then look at the minorities and say, oh, no, that you're going to prison. We'll let your wife go first, and then after she gets out, you can go, so the kids have, political discretion. And it's the same, it's one of the biggest tools that the bigoted, racist white men have. It's called discretion. So when you look at police officers, and you look at statistics like, okay, if there's 10 times more drug users that are white than there are black, how come the prisons are filled with all black? Simple. Officer discretion. Each officer has the discretion to decide who they give a break to and who they lock up. So guess how that worked out? Every time they catch a white guy, they give him a break. Every time they catch a nigger, they lock him up. Now, were they told to do it that way, or did they just decide to do it that way? That's the beauty of discretion. You only know. And of course, you can lie about it, So, from a judicial standpoint, it's the same with judges. They have the discretion. So, if there's a white man that's caught by 15 eyewitnesses raping a inebriated woman behind the dumpster on a college campus, and they arrest that white man for raping this girl, they can let him out on his own recognizance and not charge him at all because of the discretion that they have as bigoted, racist white people. So then you have a young black man who steals a slice of pizza on Boardwalk. It happens to be his third strike. He gets life for a slice of pizza. But the white man who just got caught by 15 eyewitnesses raping an inebriated woman, he gets to go home. It's discretion. Bigoted, racist white men in leadership positions have the discretion to pick and choose who they convict and who they set free. Trump's phone. When we came into the 2016 election, they said you cannot absolutely hire a woman, Hillary Clinton. She's got an email scandal. We found out that she's been storing government emails, conducting her government business on her personal computer, So she's accepting emails and responding to emails on her personal server as opposed to a government server, so that disqualifies her and it makes her an evil person. She's someone you can't trust. Look what she did with her emails, right? Emails. Like emails. Like, well, was it a particular email? I mean, like, let's go to court. If she committed a crime, let's find out what it is. Somebody should go to jail, right? Emails, right? Okay, so now we got a president with actual relationships with foreign adversaries. Now we have a president that walks into a room with a dictator from North Korea and kicks everybody out and says it ain't none of your business what I talk to him about, or what I give him, or what I... Now you got a president that sits in a room with an adversary, the president of Russia, kicks everybody out and tells the American people, fuck you, and you don't need to know what I'm talking to our enemy about and what I'm agreeing to and what he has on, So now we have a president who calls and praises dictators from Turkey, different other countries. And now we have a president that, out of his mouth, tells our adversaries secrets about our allies. Now we have a president who has a cell phone that is unsecure. He's been told by the Secret Service, his intelligence leaders, that his phone is not only unsecure, but everybody's listening when he's talking on it. The President of the United States is talking on an unsecure iPhone on purpose. But yet, Hillary Clinton's email disqualified her. All right, so that's enough for today. I'm just glad I can get this in. This is the last opportunity before the 2018 midterm election. I got my vote in. I beg that you get your vote in. And never stop believing that God is who He is and that you are who He said you are. Despite how bad it gets, continue every morning and every night to look within yourself, ask for forgiveness, and ask the Lord to show you what your purpose is and to measure your words and count your steps. As I leave you today, not knowing what Wednesday, November the 7th, is going to look like, all I can say to you is, I'm doing everything I can to make my ancestors proud that I got their blood running through my